Presence here.
Yeah. You ready?
Well, then
He's ready, whatever. Well,
The
then I'll
Virginia
go
Daily
ahead and call this Town-County Liaison Committee meeting to order then. And the first thing on the agenda is the revised Liaison Committee mission statement and policies.
And it's just in there for information. Both the town and county, the council and board have adopted those, so it should be effective. And I think, Emma, we can send that out with a clean version now, not black line.
Okay, yeah, I pulled that from Laserfish.
Yeah.
So do we have to have a motion to approve these? Have
Nope,
they
'cause
already
the-
been approved?
The council and board approved them, so they're good now.
Okay, so then we'll move on to the update on the Swigett production system, and that would be you.
Yep, thank you. So we had our kickoff meeting on Tuesday this week, and it went off well. We talked with Tim Grant from the Warren County Public Schools IT department. He's giving us some network information we need specifically to install the equipment. We discussed quite a bit of detail about how to get everything live on the different PEG channels. It's a little bit of a complicated install for them because it's one location with 3 different entities, different websites, different channels. So we went through some discussion about how to separate that stuff. The town has finished all of its paperwork and funding approvals. I believe the county's pretty close to that.
We did, there was a little back and forth today with the attorneys and some language. I think they made the adjustments
Yeah,
necessary.
Miss Ross forwarded her final contract to us, clean version, about 5 minutes ago.
So everything's progressing well. They gave us a tentative install date of either August 24th, the week of August 24th, or the week of August 31st. Their install takes 3 days. We'll probably take 2 days doing the audio. We're going to bounce the audio as well after that. So we'll probably take 2 days to bounce the audio when everything's complete. And we'll have a day of testing over the weekend, and we should be good to go.
Now, when you say bounce the audios, are we going to continue to use our, because I knew there were some talks about getting audio new or
Yeah, so
how,
the audio equipment's going to have to be completely readjusted with what's in the room. So once we get the Swigett install done and we redo the audio the way it needs to be routed, then we'll try to balance it to the room. And if we can get a decent balance with it and everything sounds good, hopefully we won't have to buy new equipment. If after that we have to buy new equipment, we'll let you guys be aware
You're
of that.
still getting this kind of, I call it like a tinny sound, a little bit of reverb on a couple of mics. So yeah, let's just make sure we go through and try to get it up and running, because there's nothing worse than video quality, everything's good, and you're hearing this feedback.
You know, one of my biggest concerns was, I'm a video guy, Dwayne is kind of a video guy as well. We didn't have an audio guy that knows a lot about audio on board. I've done it before, and I could probably pull it off, but it'd be nice to have an expert on board, and Tim apparently does that. So he agreed that he'd help us with it as well. So we should be able to get that dialed in. If you do hear the tinniness now, make sure you mention it to Dwayne, because he can turn the gain down on the speaker in the room a little bit, and that'll help a lot. Okay, any other questions?
it's almost like the soundboard has some issues, because when he's back there adjusting, that's when you hear this tinny stuff going on. So I'm not sure if that's where it's coming from or if it's actually coming from the microphone.
Or if it's a hot mic.
Right, one way or another, but it's painful.
Well,
And it's sporadic, it's not always.
Right,
It's
it's
like-
not, yeah, it's very inconsistent.
so I'll talk to Dwayne and we'll see if we can do something in the interim to try to make it a little bit easier for everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah, like it could be an improper connection.
it could be, yeah.
Oh, the other thing is this projector failed. I think Dwayne's got a TV here ready to install.
It's an 80-inch monitor.
Yeah.
75.
75?
Yeah, we did that because putting another projector in complicates the Swigett install significantly, plus it's a less expensive and more reliable option for us. We went with the monitor, so, yeah. That's all I got. Any other questions?
What's the date, the start date for this? I mean, when will we be live on
September?
The first week in September.
first
would be
week in
the-
September? Okay.
Yeah, we have to make sure we have a solid install date beforehand. Like I said, it's either the 24th, week of the 24th, or week of the 31st. Once we have that solid install date, it'll take us 5 to 7 days to do the install. If there's meetings that are supposed to happen in this room that week, we'll have to make some adjustments and figure out some alternatives. But I'm not sure how we'll figure that out, but when we get closer and get a solid install date, then I'll have all that information specific for you.
Well, the good news is on the 31st, the council doesn't have a meeting.
Right, and that's what I thought too. I thought about requesting that time, but you guys will have a meeting the following week, right? Or that week.
Tuesday is the first September.
Is that a regular meeting?
Yeah, so we might have to jumble some things around. As soon as I get a hard install date, I'll let you guys know and let you know what the schedule is and how we plan on doing the deployment, so you can have more details for that. Okay?
Okay, any other questions from anybody on that? If not, we'll move on to update on tourism.
Thanks, Todd.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
Have a great
Todd.
meeting, everybody.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Tourism. I am. Take this thing off.
I know.
I'm really happy to report that we have retained the services of a firm, Strategic Solutions by Tricia, for the next 90 days. They're going to be assisting the town with business recovery efforts with a primary focus on tourism marketing. The idea was to have them kind of fill the gap before the Fort Royal Warren County Joint Tourism Advisory Committee gets really up and running as it relates to the marketing efforts. We've had our first meeting with the company. I'm gonna have my second call with them tomorrow morning, just try to give them greater direction. They already have some really good ideas that they'd like to see implemented over the next 90 days. They're gonna work with the Joint Tourism Committee as well to help them. I've introduced them to some of the board members already. The reason I wanted to add this on the agenda was in consultation with, as a backup, as you know, both the town and the county supported the option 3A from the presentation with the goal of moving towards an option 3B, which is a joint tourism board. In that, we were assuming we were going to be the fiscal agent and have the money run through. If the county doesn't like that idea, I don't think it matters from the town council's perspective. We were assuming the money would run through, and if that's the case, we're going to need to get an MOU between the town and the county so we know how and when you're going to disperse funds for tourism and how you're going to do a fixed dollar amount. So we need to work through that, as well as MOU between the Joint Tourism Committee and the town. So I can have our attorneys work on those MOUs, but I think the town and the county needs to talk about exactly how we're going to handle the funding of the.
And then just thinking, Matt, it may be good to look at the previous year's collection. Collections are up and down, and certainly things like coronavirus impact you. It may be good to look at, rather than saying, okay, based on, because the budget is a shot in the dark, but looking at either previous year, previous 2 years, 3 year average, whatever that is, something like that to try to determine.
Yeah, I don't think the town, from the town's perspective, we don't have it doesn't matter. We just need to know.
That way you would know exactly, we know exactly what that number is. If it's in the future, hell, you don't know. We'll know till the end of August
Right.
next year what next year's number is.
We'll appropriate, because we overfund based upon our tax. So we'll probably set that money aside and just know that's what the Joint Tourism Committee is going to get. So whatever you work through in your work sessions and figure out whatever that formula is, what I'll do is I'm going to get our attorneys to start drafting the MOU, unless you want to draft it.
That's fine.
Okay.
Your attorney's on staff. Ours by the
Right.
hours.
Yeah. So we'll draft the.
Let's draft.
You guys are good. We'll draft the MOU, get it over to you, and we'll keep that blank, and then you guys can talk through and figure out any edits and modifications to it. But also, there's going to be an RFP is going to go out. Right. So we can't really do the RFP until we
without
have
an MOU.
Right.
Correct.
And just so I know Taryn's working on the RFP. She's working on the finance director who did procurement and Valkyrie. They're working on that and getting the draft of that.
The tourism RFP?
Yes.
So we already have one drafted.
Okay, so please
So
have someone
get
talk
with
to Taryn.
So maybe the collaboration, maybe
That's
they
fine.
have something.
I think she's
you
been
know,
talking to Carrie, so yes, have
Right.
maybe get everybody.
And
together.
Taryn was supposed, I think she was gonna try to schedule a tourism meeting.
Oh, so now is Taryn doing it on behalf of the Joint Tourism
I
Committee?
think.
Yes.
I think they've been talking with, I
Okay.
think they're already.
Okay.
I don't
Are they
think
already connected?
She's
Yeah.
not doing her own
No,
I-
my understanding was Carrie was supposed to be part of that.
I think Carrie and Taryn have been talking.
So Carrie and Alyssa and Taryn, I think
Okay.
they've been talking. I think
That's
they've already
good.
been talking.
That's good.
But I'll confirm that.
You know,
with Alyssa.
and we're going forward, we probably have to define those workflows so that, you know, we aren't doing overlapping work and, you know, waste anybody's time. So we'll make sure we do that. Because I asked Taryn to schedule a meeting so that we could get an update on where we were with the RFP and
So
what
I
we
have,
need to do.
Alyssa gave me the draft RFP to review yesterday at 5 o'clock. And I have not had time to look at it today.
Okay.
My goal is to look at it tomorrow or over the weekend. But I will get with, I'll get with Taryn tomorrow, make sure we're not overlapping,
Right.
and then ensure that the RFP gets to the appropriate people at the appropriate time.
Yeah.
Start reviewing, because we want to hit. So it's kind of the MOUs, the RFP, we're kind of trying to get things produced, and then we got to take them to our respective bodies and have take it to work sessions.
Right. And I know Carrie did, she did the basic outline and fill, you know, and we just have to fill in the government.
Yeah, so we've already
terminology.
filled in, Alyssa's already,
Done
she's
all
already
that?
done all that.
Okay.
And then that way.
Can you share that with us?
Yeah, as soon
Would
as,
you?
I'm gonna read it.
Yep,
and
that'd be great.
The goal is to have, you know, once Alyssa and I think it's in the right format, then we're gonna send it out to everybody, send it out to Karen, or Taryn and Carrie and whatnot.
And have everybody's review, and
Yeah,
then
sure,
we can get it
absolutely.
out on the street. 'Cause
Well, we
the
can't get it
sooner-
out until we get the
yeah.
MOUs,
Right.
so.
How quickly can we get an MOU done? Because this is important. And I'll tell you, I was up on the drive. I'm losing this for a minute. I can't talk behind this thing. So I was on the drive just a week or so ago, and I did a little canvas. I just walked around and asked people where they were from. Everybody, not one person, was not from Northern Virginia.
Yeah.
They were all trying to get out of the city. They said,
Yeah.
we're like, we come here all the time to get away from, you know, there was Arlington, there was an Alexandria, there were several people from Fairfax. And so, yeah, it was, so we need to get on it.
I'm with it. But in the meantime, we're not going to slow down from marketing. We've
Right.
got this organization that we've hired is going to fill that gap, that 90-day gap.
Are they going to target Nova?
Yep.
Yeah, because
Absolutely.
that's 70%.
We've been targeting, and we're going to be providing a report to the town council very soon. We made changes. We have a team that's taken over a lot of aspects of the website and social media. And the report I got last Thursday was that the May numbers exceeded the highest month, the previous month that we've ever had. The June numbers exceeded May, and we're halfway through July and we've already exceeded June.
Wow.
And that's because of changes properly managing the site. Our social media is exploding, so a lot of good things are starting to get in place. We have a team. We have a social media expert that who we use for HR recruiting of all things, and she does a great job at our social media piece. So we're excited.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
The other thing that they're working on, I know Taryn's been working on as far as wayfinding signage and trying to get that package. They've gotten, made a presentation to VDOT, gotten comments back from VDOT, the process of incorporating that into the final design stuff so they can get to a point where it's ready to go out on the street and they got to put an RFP together. So I know they're getting closer and they're working on that. I don't know, probably talk about it at your next course meeting.
Where is that signage going to be placed?
All over at different points. There's like three or four different levels of signs. There's like the entry level sign. There's arrow signs taking you to different locations in the community. They've actually got a master map showing all the locations throughout the town and county. But for the county, it's more of taking you in on 55 and taking you in on 522 with the directional stuff. Town, you get down to the micro level of Main Street.
Right.
Taking you down to the visitor center and stuff. But Taryn's got the map. She's got the whole package as far as where the locations are, the list of all the amenities that they're trying to get you out to, whether it's the golf courses, state park, Shenandoah National Park, downtown, visitor center, some government facilities, things like that.
That's awesome.
So when, I know this has been an ongoing process with these signs. when are we looking at that they'll be up and functional?
So I think at this point, probably get the RFP on the street late summer, early fall, and try to get bids back. I think it really depends on, do you get enough bidders, the budget, as far as awarding the contract and getting the install. I think at this point, you're probably fabrication maybe next spring. Yeah, probably the earliest, I would think.
Is that CDBG funds?
Well, for you it is.
Right.
And then maybe some tourism. I think for the county was probably some tourism dollars from previous years, not necessarily the year coming up. But luckily we've been able to set aside quite a bit of funds that should help cover certainly our share of phase one, whatever y'all end up with. But it sounds like it's coming together. It's just been about a year process of doing the designs, doing getting through the process with VDOT to get approval, because you'll approve in town, VDOT has to approve out in the county for the locations and the method of installation, all that stuff.
Yep.
Anybody have anything else on that? The update on the Happy Creek Road project?
Yeah, I just, we kept this on here just to let you know that VDOT did not approve the smart scale for 17.4 million. We went back to try to do a smaller piece of it or aspect of it for 9.6. They responded that it was still too big for smart scale and recommended that we do revenue sharing. So we are really, we've had about as many meetings as I know with VDOT. So there's going to be a gap in Happy Creek. It's going to have
Your first piece and
My
our
first-
fourth piece, and
Yep.
the pieces in the middle. I don't know. I think you ought to look at the potential, and you might have to wait now for the next round in 2 years, but the combination of apply for revenue sharing, but use that gets you higher scoring when you go back for smart scale. So you might be able to
go ahead and get it. They've already started. I think they're starting this project for revenue sharing or a bit of paperwork for that. But it's just
so that combination, because that buys you up a lot more points.
I think we were literally second from the bottom,
So it's just not scoring well.
if I'm not mistaken. I think we were second from the bottom.
So
Our
the
score.
middle part, is that the part right at the railroad track, or?
It's the
Yeah, the
curve and then the piece
The
right
worst
in
part.
front of
The
where
worst part
Leechburg
of Happy
Parkway
Creek.
is, and
Should an ambulance need to navigate that
Yep.
space?
You know, and you
Which
have a
it
hospital,
eventually
you have a
will.
hospital and a school, and he still wouldn't.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, Matt, we're still doing the actual design, right?
You're still moving forward.
Okay, okay.
Well,
Yeah,
they're
still
gonna be
moving forward.
stingy with their money, I
Yeah,
think,
sure.
now, because
Oh, yeah,
there's
sure.
a shortfall.
And if you have the design in hand done,
Right.
that gets you more points. All
Yeah,
those things
yeah.
are points based, and it's got to get done at some
Yeah.
point.
We had money set aside for right-of-way acquisition. We were.
Anything else on that?
I mean, that's all. Just a quick update for me.
Building inspection software.
We got development review before that, if I can grab that. Madam Chair. Development Review Committee met on
Sorry.
June 24. No.
Oh,
They discussed projects in the county. There's some additional short-term, we're still having a run on short-term course rental applications. There's a proposed private Montessori school out on East Refuge Church Road. The multi-tenant building at Riverton Commons, and thanks Matt for your staff in town working on water sewer issues. Building permits have been approved for Chipotle and Five Guys Restaurant. Has been approved by zoning, is under review by building inspections department. So those are moving forward. Chipotle, you can sort of see the drive-through. This will be one of like, I think 5 in the country
In the whole country.
that has a drive-through.
Wow.
Yes.
So good timing with COVID.
Yeah, right.
It's not a drive-through though in a traditional sense from what I read online, so you call and then drive through to pick it up. So it's not a drive-through like where you go order and then
Use your
go.
mobile app or
Right,
call.
you have to do a
Yeah.
mobile app or you
Works
have to
for me.
call to get what you
So
want.
what is the design? 2 buildings like this and you drive through the middle of it?
It's one building, 3 tenants, and the drive-through is on the far north side of the building. So you drive around the back
I've been
side.
watching the construction of it.
Who's the third tenant?
Unknown right now. At one point they had a phone company, then that
Oh.
switched out. So I think obviously it'd be great to get a restaurant that meals tax for all of us, right?
Sure.
So keep an eye out. Talked about projects in town. Got an update on the War Memorial Hospital. Harbor Freight will be opening soon, the former Big Lots space.
Yep.
And
looks like Sheets is moving quite along. I know they're hopefully trying to get in there by Labor Day, right? I think that's the target. So certainly it'd be nice to have it done by fall leaf traffic.
Oh, yeah. When more Memorial Hospital do to open?
So-
Have they yet?
They've really, it's always been, it's kind of, originally I think fourth quarter 20, now it's like first quarter 21. I wouldn't be surprised this next spring, but, I think they're obviously steady making progress. You can see in some finished areas with lights on inside, so they're making good progress on significant portions of the building, but sometime probably late winter next spring, best guess. And the committee will meet again on July 22nd here in the caucus room. Now, building inspections.
Sorry about that.
No. Intergov, we've working through the final little piece. I know y'all heard me say that way too much, but they've got a final few adjustments. They anticipate the online presences to be complete within the next couple of weeks. That'll finally allow everybody to apply and pay. Some of this is working through the banking and pay issues and trying to get that straightened out. But as far as I know, it's been working real good for staff. I tell you what, I'm glad we had it dealing with COVID because people really have been emailing and sending stuff. And every once in a while, they drop a Dropbox for hard copy files and stuff. But so many people readily adapted to doing electronic. I think now once they're able to pay, that'll be the last piece that'll help. So hopefully we'll be done with that soon.
Can I add one more thing back at the development review is Big Lots is having a grand opening July 25th to August 1st. They're not going to do a ribbon cutting, they said. They're just going to do, because of COVID, they're just going to do a regular opening, and they're offering coupons and I think $10 on a $40 purchase and that sort of thing. So they sent me an email. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, I got the.
But anyway, yeah, just to let you guys
They want you
know.
to show them and spend some money.
Of course. But they sent it to, no, they sent it to the
Everybody
government.
got it.
Yeah, okay. Well, I didn't know, since we didn't mention it, if it should be mentioned.
In-town projects, so Rusty Jeffries, county staff, installed the basketball goals in the court last summer. Future projects, they're fundraising to resurface the basketball court and install the remaining pieces of playground equipment. I have not talked to the principal out there. I know they're raising all the money that we just help coordinate the work, but in the install. But I haven't talked with them lately. I'm sure COVID has impacted their ability to fundraise and do events and things like that at the school. Health and Human Services, we finished our additional window project. The last two sections of the building are the school maintenance section and the senior center cafeteria area. We don't have funding for those. I think schools really want to move off of Commerce and sell the old Mills Auto Parts building. At some point, they may have to get a loan from the board to do the work, then move themselves out, and then sell their old building and repay the loan to the board. But that's something they're working on. The plans are getting revised and finished up. And Burrow Brooks, thanks for those that were able to make it. And Cheryl, thank you for your comments out there on June 26th for the little music park down there at Burrow Brooks. And it was nice to see Lorraine. Well, that's the third project that she's funded. And it's great for the kids down there. I went down the other day and some of the kids from the apartment complex were there hanging around. So it was good to see them.
The tone of the musical, it's a very soothing tone. When you think of kids and music, you think of the beating bangs, and this isn't. It's got it's almost like a wind chime feel to it. It was very nice. Very appreciated. Well, that's the agenda. Does anybody have anything else?
Oh, yeah, Doug, can you, you may not know, can you give us an update on the school? I've heard 3 or 4 people have called me and said it's still on the website. It's going to start on August the 11th.
I don't know the answer to
I didn't think we would, but
I think
just thought
everybody's
I'd
been trying to figure out, because I know they're changing some plans on graduation. There's been a lot of concern and comments out there about that. I think y'all, Matt, you mentioned you heard some of that too. I don't know, and you've seen a lot of school systems just in the last couple of days. I know the city of Richmond just announced they're starting online. And some are trying to go online through November. So I have not talked to I met the new superintendent. I haven't talked to him about any potential changes. But I know at one point they were talking about trying to elementary grades going and the middle and high school going, you know, maybe 1 or 2 days a week and rotating, but I haven't seen a final answer on that yet.
I have great concerns because the kids who don't have internet are not going to be able to do online school. Parents who need to work, what do they do with their
For
kids?
daycare.
If you're going to put them in daycare, why aren't they in the
For
classroom?
daycare, yeah, 'cause you gotta have
It's
an
the
option.
same thing. The New York City did that today. They said, oh, we're going to daycare 100,000 kids. I said, if you're going to daycare 100,000 kids, then put them in classrooms. You know, if that's what your plan is, I don't know what the difference
Well,
is.
it's a serious impact.
It's huge.
From a government, from an employer perspective. I have employees right now that have already gotten wind of this, and they're trying to figure out, what am I going to do for employment? I've got to, I'm going to be forced to teach my child with a Chromebook during the day.
Right.
Some of them cannot telework. And so it's a significant issue with 21 people hospitalized in Warren County since the beginning of this. You know, and
Well, the issue, especially in the county, I have 2 teachers that live near me, and the service is not adequate enough for them to do online teaching at the same time. Well, you can't, even one of them on the internet is for service. You put 2 of them on there,
Can't do it.
you can't do it. The videos won't load and,
Yep.
and go through, and so I don't know what the answer is. Even transportation's gonna be the issue. How do you get kids on a bus and have them 6 feet
Social
apart?
distancing.
You know, and the other thing that worries me, I have a 5-year-old grandson who's supposed to start kindergarten. So, you know, asking the question, are you excited about school? And he goes, oh, Granny, I can't go to school because I get sick and die.
right, and amazing.
And that's, for a 5-year-old to have to be concerned about that breaks my heart. I've had several people say, oh, kids are resilient, they don't worry about it. They are worrying about it. So there's a...
Well, you can't get the scientists to agree what is a policy. They tell you one thing one day and the next day they tell you just the opposite, so. I mean, I've looked at 3 reports that said these things are useless, but they're gonna mandate it, so I don't understand.
There's a lot of challenges. I can't imagine, from being a K-5 school nurse for 15 years, trying to keep a mask on a kindergartner.
Ain't gonna happen.
Well,
Anyway.
is there any influence the board of supervisors can have with the school board as it relates not only to this? We've been getting a lot of phone calls. My phone's been blowing up about the graduation, and to the point that Monday night the council is going to be possibly considering a resolution to send to the board of supervisors and the school board, suggesting a more traditional graduation with with proper social distancing. Do you think there's any? I mean, how receptive do you think the school board is receptive to changing the policy or what they're proposing?
I would hope that they would be receptive. I think all of us need to be receptive to ideas, whether, you know, you've got to be flexible and listen to people. Now, whether they'll change is another thing. but
Well,
I
based
would
on
certainly-
Saturday night's prom activity,
If you're going to
I
have
mean,
a
that
problem,
was an
yes.
extremely successful activity.
I saw
for
you
these
on the
kids.
dance floor on one of the videos.
Huh?
I saw you on the dance floor on one of the videos. You were walking across the dance floor.
But you were on
Don't let him fool you, he was getting it.
I can do it.
But I kind of agree. It's the kind of thing that you get to make a choice with. If you're uncomfortable with it, you don't participate. But if you are comfortable with it, it's the same issue as the prom.
I have this, well, I'm a parent. So this is Dolores the parent, not Dolores the supervisor. And this is an accomplishment that only happens once in a lifetime. And to minimize it drives me crazy, because we had a protest 6 weeks ago where 1,000 people were in the street and went into Bing Crosby Stadium. So what's the difference between Bing Crosby Stadium and Skyline Football Stadium?
Spread out all over the place.
Exactly. You do what you use your common sense. You do what you need to do, but you let the kids have the experience that they're only going to have once in their lifetime.
Yep.
And so I will tell you, I'm one of those parents who's let the school board know that I'm unhappy with that decision.
Well, many of those children will never graduate from anything else.
Exactly.
They're going to go off to a trade or whatever.
Exactly.
Big accomplishment.
It is.
We had Mr. Bell on the call today, and he had previously given an opinion that he thought the 1,000
Yes.
person capacity could have worked. I don't know what changed with the school board. Obviously, something's.
Well, I want to know what data they're using to support this decision. I want to see the data that they're using that
It
has
says that
created,
they
They got
issue
so
the
much
1,000
conflicting
person.
data.
yeah.
But I think the 1,000, they were, I think, planning to use that 1,000 and spread it out on both sides and spread the kids out across the field and socially distance.
Of
You could
course.
socially distance each family.
Of course.
I think that was the plan.
That's exactly what they should do. And the community will come, if they need help, it's
The
my opinion, the
community will
community
do
will come,
it.
just like the community put together this prom. You know, I think the community come together and help with tables and chairs and rope or whatever.
Absolutely.
Oh, you bring your own chair and social distance out.
On the side, there's
from-
plenty of space.
Absolutely.
I think the plan was to go in there and tape off, mark off, just using the grandstands and figuring out, here's your tickets and.
You have
space.
this many people and your family sits in this space, and then you're 6 feet away from the next family, and and so forth, all the way around the football stadium.
Right.
So
Now, I will say this, I'm as a parent as well, if you're able to get 2 vehicles, I actually, if it was in the stadium, it'd probably just be the parents, it wouldn't be the grandparent. Just do the math, because you got the graduates, 200 graduates, maybe you got 4 tickets. Potentially you could have more people
In
with
a
2
car.
carloads.
But you wouldn't see.
you wouldn't be able to
anything.
see anything, right?
Well, I think there was some misinformation. I think you could, the family will be able to go up with your student and take the picture and do that, each family at a time. There was some revised stuff that was posted up. So depends on how you look at it. Maybe I could have 2 carloads, I could have 12 people
Right.
at the event versus 2 or
4.
4. So it sounds like there's some advantages and disadvantages. I do, unlike you, I prefer the traditional as much as you can. The benefit would be maybe, I might go have my in-laws and my parents
Right.
there. But I'd say to anybody, call your school board member and let them know. I'm guessing you talked to Arnold.
I did. Last night I called him.
Well, I mean, I
I need call
graduated in 1977, and we were the first class not to graduate from Warren County High School stage because there were too many of us, and we would have gotten 1 ticket. So we went to 15th Street. And I think we ended up with 2, maybe 3 tickets because it was still a small area, but bigger than that. If you have to be flexible with the amount of people, at least it would be traditional and everybody understands that you can't all go and you video
Yeah, you
it,
get
you get
inclement
to watch
weather,
it
you're
later
pushing
in the day.
stuff.
But
One other thing, Madam Chair, if I could, this will be my last liaison meeting, and I just wanted to say thank you. 3 of you, I've crossed paths with a number of times over the years. Matt, I had dark hair and a lot of it.
Yeah, me too.
When you came on board in '96, y'all gave me a lot of opportunities. I appreciate that. Bill, I've got to work with you, both the EDA, with the council, and I appreciate that. Gene, we worked together probably 25 years ago on some different stuff in the town, so I enjoyed that, and I appreciate your support over the years.
I appreciate it. And good luck for
Yeah,
everybody.
we should like.
Thank you. That's all I have, Madam Chairman.
anyone have anything else? No, I think this was a fairly easy meeting.
Good.
And I appreciate everybody coming, and hopefully this graduation goes off well, and
Yeah, it's, so if you've got anything put together, if you'd share it, I'm glad to pass it on.
Oh, yeah, sure. Absolutely. I'm sure we'll send it to you guys. Thank y'all.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.